Breaking news, major update on winter fuel payments. Find out if you'll still qualify. As the leaves begin to fall and the crisp bite of autumn approaches, many across the UK are already bracing for the return of higher energy bills. Heating your home during the colder months can be a serious financial burden, especially for older people living on fixed or limited incomes. But there's one government benefit that's meant to ease this pressure: the winter fuel payment, a tax-free annual payment designed to help older citizens stay warm without worrying about the cost. However, not everyone will qualify this year. In a major update from the Department for Work and Pensions, it's now been confirmed that 5 specific groups of people will not receive the winter fuel payment for 2025 to 2026, despite public concern and growing backlash over who gets left out. So, if you or someone you know typically depends on this support, keep watching because these new rules could directly impact you. Let's break it all down. The winter fuel payment is a one-off annual payment issued to help older people cover the rising cost of heating during the winter. If you were born before September 22, 1959, you could be entitled to receive between £100 and £300, a potentially life-changing amount for pensioners struggling with skyrocketing energy costs. But a lot has changed recently. Under the previous Labour government, a controversial overhaul of the scheme drastically altered the eligibility criteria. In an effort to target only those most in need, the benefit was limited to people already receiving certain means-tested benefits, like pension credit. This significant restriction caused the number of eligible pensioners to drop from several million to just 1.5 million. The decision sparked outrage among campaigners, charities, and especially pensioners who found themselves excluded despite living on modest incomes. Organisations like Age UK and other welfare advocates raised serious concerns that the policy disproportionately hurt the most financially vulnerable elderly citizens. Following public pressure and a growing campaign, the government later announced a reversal to some extent. In a move welcomed by many, they revealed that, starting in 2025, the winter fuel payment would once again be available to pensioners with annual incomes of up to £35,000. This change is expected to increase the number of eligible recipients to around 9 million people. And this is key, not everyone will benefit from this change, and many will still find themselves excluded from the payment, despite falling under that income threshold. So, who exactly is still left out? According to the DWP's latest guidance, there are 5 key groups who will not receive the winter fuel payment this year regardless of income. Let's go through them. 1. People living outside England and Wales. If you're a UK citizen but reside outside these 2 nations, you won't be eligible. However, there are some differences. If you live in Northern Ireland, you might still qualify under the Northern Ireland Executive's version of the scheme. For those living in Scotland, the winter fuel payment doesn't apply at all, but you might be eligible for a similar scheme called the Pension Age Winter Heating Payment. 2. People who were in hospital for the entire week of September 15 to 21, 2025. If you were receiving free NHS inpatient care for that whole week, known as the qualifying week, then unfortunately, you won't be entitled to receive the payment. 3. Those who were in prison for the entire qualifying week. If you were serving time from September 15 to 21, you are automatically disqualified from receiving winter fuel support for that year. 4. Anyone who requires permission to stay in the UK and whose immigration status prohibits claiming public funds. This group includes individuals who are subject to immigration control, meaning that even if they meet the age criteria, they cannot claim government assistance like the winter fuel payment. 5. People with an income over £35,000 a year. This one's a bit more nuanced. If your annual income exceeds the £35,000 cap, you might still receive the payment initially, but HMRC will claw it back through your taxes. You can either opt out of getting the payment altogether or allow HMRC to adjust your tax code in the following financial year, or even include the payment as part of your self-assessment return. Either way, if your earnings are over the threshold, you won't be keeping the money. Now, if you do qualify, you're probably wondering, how much will I actually receive? That depends on your circumstances and your birth date. Here's a quick breakdown. If you live alone or no one else in your household qualifies for the payment, then you could receive £200 if you were born between September 22, 1945 and September 21, 1959. Or £300 if you were born before September 22, 1945. But what if you live with someone else who's also eligible? In that case, the payment can change depending on whether you or your partner receive any other qualifying benefits. For example, if neither of you receive means-tested benefits, your total may range from £100 to £200 each, depending on your dates of birth. However, if one or both of you receive benefits like pension credit, universal credit, or income support, then the total payment can be as much as £300, but only one partner will receive it. People living in care homes may also receive the payment, but there are caveats. If you lived in a care home for the entire qualifying period from June 23, 2025 or earlier, and you're receiving certain income-related benefits, then you may not qualify at all. However, if you're not claiming those specific benefits, you may still receive £100 or £150, depending on your age. Now, let's talk timing. When will you find out if you're getting the payment? Most eligible individuals will receive a letter in October or November 2025. This official letter will confirm how much you'll get and when to expect it. If you don't receive a letter but believe you should qualify, you might need to make a claim. In fact, you will need to manually apply if any of the following apply. You've never received the winter fuel payment before. You've deferred your state pension. You're not receiving any of the listed qualifying benefits like universal credit or attendance allowance. In terms of how much money you'll receive, your exact amount depends on your living arrangements, benefit status, and birth year. While that can sound a little complicated, the most common payments fall between £100 and £300, with some slight variations based on who else you live with. And here's some good news: receiving this payment will not affect any other benefits you're currently getting. It's completely separate from your regular entitlements, so you won't need to worry about deductions to your existing financial support. So, when will the money hit your account? Most payments will be made in November or December 2025, just in time to help cover rising heating bills. And if you do need to make a claim manually, there are two ways to do it. By post, starting from September 15, 2025. Or by phone, beginning October 13, 2025. But don't delay. The final deadline to submit your claim for winter 2025-2026 is March 31, 2026. This year's changes to the winter fuel payment have already stirred significant discussion across the UK, especially among pensioners and advocacy groups. While expanding eligibility to those earning up to £35,000 is a welcome move, the exclusion of key groups remains controversial. With energy prices unlikely to drop anytime soon, every bit of support matters, and for many, this payment could make the difference between a warm home and an uncomfortably cold winter. So, now that you know the facts, it's important to check your eligibility, stay informed, and make sure your information is up to date with the DWP. Whether you're applying for the first time or waiting for your letter, don't miss out on a benefit you could be entitled to. And that wraps up this essential update. If you found this video helpful or know someone who might need this information, please share it with them. Also, let me know in the comments if you're affected by these changes or if you have any questions. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel so you never miss another important update on UK benefits and support programs. Thanks for watching. Stay warm, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one.